If you are putting out stuff right now, you're putting out content, you're putting out marketing, maybe you're hitting a wall. Maybe you're not getting as consistent or predictable results as you hope. A lot of what I show people how to do is to take what they're already doing. I show them how to be able to take that message and turn it into the 5% that produces 95% of the results, whether they're running ads, whether they're posting content, whether they're doing speaking events. It just makes it so much more impactful, so much more high converting.
And that's the end of the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's beautiful. And you talked about these walls. You know, as entrepreneurs, we kind of box ourselves in sometimes into these walls. Can you describe what some of those walls are? Like, if someone's watching this right now, like, how can they know that you're the coach for them? So describe these walls that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be different kinds of barriers and stuff that we come up against, right? I mean, there's going to be like the actual strategic and tactical barriers to where maybe your message isn't standing out the way you would hope. Maybe you're in a very competitive marketplace and what you're saying is kind of vanilla. Maybe it's been said a million times, and so people aren't actually resonating with it. They're not actually connecting to it. And so there could be some strategical and tactical things. And then there's the more of a mindset perspective. Maybe you are kind of muting yourself. You're not really saying your authentic message. Maybe you are saying things that you have seen a competitor say, or you've seen somebody that you admire say. And so you go ahead and verbatim say it the way they say it in hopes that it's going to help. So, and there can also be some imposter syndrome I see on this side of things as well. Mm-hmm. But I'd say like the biggest walls that people have is outside of mindset. It really is kind of going into how do you say what's already been said, but in your unique way, like through your perspectives, through your experiences in life, through your stories, you know?
I love that, dude. And you have a pretty interesting story that you were sharing with me offline. I'd love for you to tell us how you got into this space. You had a lot of walls up, you know, when you started your entrepreneurial journey. You've been doing this over, what, 10 years? Is that right?
Like 13 years,
13 years. So I'm sure you've come across, you've had some obstacles in your journey. Why don't you walk us through maybe a story of that wall, a wall that you hit and how you overcame it?
Well, you see, 1986, I pop out of the womb, you know, and not that far back?
Yeah, maybe more recent.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'd say so, long story short here, I was a firefighter for my first career, and I was a firefighter for about almost 8 years. And about 6.5 years into the journey, I was electrocuted in a house fire. Near fatal accident, and that kind of awoken me, if you will. I was shocked, pun intended, into a new life. I believed I had a second chance at life, and so I started getting myself in shape, and my crewmates were inspired, and I started helping them get into shape, and that launched basically my first business. And so feeling super inspired and actually feeling really good that at that time I was able to help people that were, you know, I was currently going into like houses and buildings where people were, you know, at the worst of their worst, on drugs, houses burning down. And I felt good helping people before they got to that kind of state. And I was like, man, I really want to do this full time. And so I ended up retiring from the fire department. I started my first, doing personal training and stuff. And that led me to starting a gym. And that was my first real business. I call it like my dojo. I since then obviously have online businesses and stuff, but that was like where I learned all of the, you know, the hard knock skills of running a business. And about I ran it for about 8 years, but about 5 years in, we had done pretty well. We had taken an abandoned hockey rink in South Florida with a giant sinkhole in the middle of it, and we had converted it. And there was a lot of adversity here. We actually in the process of us turning this into an actual fitness center with, I'm talking like barbells, dumbbells. We had a Ninja Warrior gym built out there. I mean, anything you can imagine in a gym was out there. It was just outside. And in the process of us like building this, we tried to get shut down. Like the city was like, you can't do this, too many liabilities. And so I literally had to go and like become friends with the mayor, negotiate with him. And what was very full circle moment, I ended up building up a membership base during this time of around 100 people. And like they were like, all right. So the mayor was like, let's do a ribbon cutting for him. Like, let's make this an official business in the city. And so I actually had the mayor come out and do a ribbon cutting. And over the next couple of years, we grew that thing to about 300 members, served about maybe even closer to 4,000 people between like front end offers and things that we were offering at the time. And it attracted a bit of attention locally. And so, and this is a huge lesson here. It's sometimes when you go with what you know is true to you, even if it's against the grain, like everybody at that time was like, you should build a in-person gym. You should, invest in a franchise like Orange Theory, something like that. And I just went with what I knew to be true, which was like, I know people need this right now, and it's what I wanted to do, a completely outdoor concept. But so we attracted some attention. And during this time, I had one of the clients at my gym, her husband came out and he wanted to invest. And so he put in about 50K, I put in about 30K, and we franchised it. And again, long story short here, the franchise failed miserably. However, we were out there doing it. And so I was running a franchise business, like I was like Ray Kroc out there trying to sell like gyms. And then we were also trying to run our current business and keep that afloat. Things started to spiral out of control, man. I mean, within about 6 months, I was more than bankrupt. I was 45K in debt in the gym, in my business. And at that time, my daughter, my firstborn, was born. And I remember sitting in the hospital, man, freaking like being elated with like gratitude for her, but also being stressed because I couldn't pay myself a paycheck. And a few days after we got home from the hospital, I remember sitting in front of my gym parking lot, just crying, man, gripping my freaking steering wheel and just feeling like a terrible man, a terrible human. And like I can't even support my family. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it's a voice from God. I don't know what, but I just had this moment of realization that like you have to take control. You can't feel sorry for yourself. You're gonna have obstacles in your business. You're gonna have obstacles in your life. That you're gonna face adversity. But I had this voice that said, like, go and speak. Just go and get your message out there. However, and so I didn't know what to do. I was terrified to speak. But so I started going to like local businesses and in my case, nutrition stores and things like that. In my first speaking gig, I was like to a bunch of kids about vegetables. Got no clients or anything from it, as you would imagine. But then I got a
tough sell.
Yeah. Oh, I was trying to get the parents, But then I actually went and spoke to adults, and then I got booked into my local chamber of commerce, and I was able to speak to about 100 people and started doing Facebook Lives. I was trying to just get my message out there. Facebook Lives just became a thing during that time, around 2016, 17. And somebody heard me. One of my Facebook friends heard me, even though I was terrible at live. I was like really nervous, cotton mouth.
Yeah.
But she was like, hey, she saw potential in me. And she's like, she worked at a TV station down in Miami. And she was like, hey, it was called the Health Network. And she's like, why don't you come down and do a show? And I did. Again, super nervous, and I just like had the courage to do it. And they ended up liking me, so they booked me a few more times. Well, I started building confidence doing that, right? And then I ended up having the confidence to go out for a TV show that I dreamed of being on called American Ninja Warrior. And if you don't know, you have to submit a 3-minute video, right, to get onto the show. And it just, one thing led to the other. So like starting with these like massive challenges that we all face, I think we all intuitively know like there's something that we have to do.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, like, they stay in fear versus like stepping into that courage just to get out there and again, speak their message, tell their story or whatever it may be for them.
In your 13 years of doing this, like you said, you just described having this crushing failure and then coming out the other end with all this courage and faith and belief. What's some advice that you can give? You just gave someone advice that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that if you just persevere, if you keep pushing, it's going to happen, right? Now, let's get into some brass tacks of like, what did you do to stand out? Because as you said, fitness especially is a very competitive market, probably the one of the most competitive markets. So how do people stand out in this competitive landscape? How did you succeed in making, I think you made like 79K in 1 month, if that's
10 days.
In 10 days.
That was just right now.
In 10 days.
Yeah, and that's actually 81.
81K in
Sorry.
10 days.
Well, and so I mean, I don't like to like gloat about like the money, is I don't even think that's super important. And like what I do today in like business and marketing consulting, it's a competitive market too. And so it's going back to like even breaking into like online fitness, which is what was like my first, I would say, kind of a stepping stone once I got the gym. And by the way, we ended up getting the gym back in order and we ended up getting it profitable again. I killed the franchise side of the business, and then COVID came, right? And then during COVID, we launched the online. Oh, previous to COVID, we had launched the online. It was like a few months before 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like
Good timing.
foreshadowing, yeah. And but I would say the number one thing that helped us stand out going into a very competitive market, and the first thing, and this is going to sound maybe a little bit elementary, but hear me out here. It was just being consistent. Like most people just actually aren't that consistent. And now, is that the thing that made us truly stand out? No, but it is like the first ingredient was I showed up every day during those times. Now, what I did back then will not work in today's market. I have tested it, but I went live every day. And like I was sharing with you yesterday, I would be in costumes. I made it fun and I made it me, right? And that did help me. It helped me get seen. It helped people be like, we know this dude is going to be going live. He's going to be entertaining us. He's going to be providing us value. And that significantly helped. So I'd say consistency and just showing up and being you. Don't feel like you have to put on a mask or be a certain kind of way. Just be you and actually try to give people useful, tangible value. And remember, like, value is in the eye of the beholder. It's what the person perceives it to be.
Right.
And so, like, if people are like, I'm going to give massive value, but what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Right? To me, it means that, like, you're giving somebody something that is either an aha moment or something that is like, it's useful to them in some way. And so, but outside of that, like, strategically speaking, to stand out, you got to be able to speak to your ideal client's subconscious mind. And the way to do that, and I love using the doctor analogy here because this is maybe TMI, but I was at an event in Arizona, and when I was out there, I got this like crazy rash all over my armpits, and I was like, crap, I know what to do. So I got home and I called Teledoc.
Yeah.
And Teledoc was just like, didn't really like ask me much, was just kind of like prescribe something to me. And it made it worse. It started spreading down. And so my wife, being smarter than me, said, this is on record, and she said, you should call a dermatologist. And I'm like, right, skin. And so I did, and he started to describe my symptoms to me. He was like, hey, is it pulsating? I'm like, actually, yeah. He's like, is it spreading down your chest? I'm like, yes. And he got so specific to what was actually going on that I knew he had the answers.
Over the phone.
Over the phone.
That's incredible.
Yeah, without looking.
Yeah.
And so, like, I instantly trusted this guy. And he stood out over, we had called a couple other people, and he stood out the most. And so, if you could speak to the people's symptoms, the present moment things that are actually going on in their life, in their narrative, in their head, externally and internally, you're going to stand out. And then secondly, having your own unique perspectives, your own unique methodologies, your own big ideas, that's going to help you significantly stand out. Like when I jumped into the online fitness space, I had something called the Stubborn Fat Solution. And I specifically helped people lose stubborn belly fat. That was my claim to fame back then. And I was able to speak to their subconscious, and I had a unique angle and a big idea around it was about eating right, not just healthy. And so I was really being able to shift the way people thought about it, and this helped me stand out and become a quote unquote thought leader within my sub niche.
So just to summarize, we got consistency as the fundamental blocks because consistency outbeats talent every single day. You have to talk about the symptoms, not necessarily the features and benefits of what you do and what benefits it have, but the actual describing the problem to this ideal person. I just want to make sure I'm getting it right.
You should be able to say it, but it's almost like you gotta be your ideal client's best friend. So you should be able to describe what's going on in their life better than they can articulate.
Like read their minds, pretty much.
Subconscious.
Right? Yeah, well, just like the guy on the phone. I love this story because, like you said, the guy on the phone, you're just describing, some issues. And maybe you don't know how to describe it yet. It's a rash. And then he's using words that you're like, oh, right. And how much did you trust him after he was saying, hey, are you feeling this? Are you feeling this?
Yeah, and as soon as he gave me the solution, And well, this is probably a whole nother topic, but it worked. You got rid of it in a second. Right?
That's an important ingredient. It works.
Yeah.
Make sure it works, whatever the heck you're selling. I love that. And what was the third thing? Remind us what the third
Your
thing was.
unique perspectives, like your big ideas, what you can bring to the table. Like I'll give you a few of mine. So I talked about the stubborn fat solution. And so that directly spoke to a counterintuitive problem in belief that my ideal clients had. So they thought they needed to eat healthy and that was going to get them to lose the weight. And people were like, Jason, I'm eating 300 calories. And I'm like, homie, like you're starving yourself. That's not going to work. You have to eat right. And they're like, how do I eat right? And it was through my methodologies. I showed them like, this is how I do it. And even what I'm doing now, like this is what helped me generate 81,000 in 10 days. I mean, we've done over 103,000 with reoccurring revenue and stuff in the month. But one of the things that helped us have that kind of quote unquote cash surge was the unique angles on it. And so like we have a unique messaging system to where I show people how to basically say the right words in the right way to the right people in the right order. And we have our own unique process, like methodologies on it, which attracts a lot of attention. And you know, with this offer, I positioned my offer in a way that most of the people in my industry aren't. And so it just was different to what they were doing. And it was congruent with what I'm good at. And I think when you find that balance of congruency and your unique perspectives, and you kind of combine them together, it truly I mean, it's the definition of standing out.
Yeah.
Because it's different than what everybody else is doing.
So I understand the philosophy of what you're talking about, right? How we stand out, right?
Correct.
Below that, we have the practicality. What type of marketing are you focusing on? Because there's so much marketing. There's so much noise. Do I do Instagram ads? Do I use Facebook ads? Do I be on LinkedIn? Do I do a podcast? Do I do YouTube? Do I freaking knock on doors?
Yeah.
Like, what do you find, right, is the best way to practically take this philosophy and put it into marketing that can help you make 81K in 10 days?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first you got to understand that like you're going to be best suited with your zone of genius. And so some people naturally like to write. And so you're going to probably find that you do better with like writing, maybe having a weekly newsletter, writing emails, writing really good posts. And then there's like the skill deficit of just learning how to come up with really good hooks, you know, learning how to tell really good stories, to be able to shift people's perspectives, learning how to deliver good call to actions that are clear, simple, concise, so people know how to take the next steps, right? And then you just plugging those kind of skills into what you're best suited in. If you're really good at video, then you know you're going to probably want to do more masterclasses or workshops or YouTube videos. You know, but when it comes down to like Facebook or Instagram, I mean, there's so many factors at play. It's like, A, what do you enjoy being on, and where do your ideal clients hang out?
Yeah.
Like those are the two most important ingredients there. And then outside of that, it's just recognizing that, at least from my experience with this, is that information is a commodity right now. I don't know the exact statistic, and I don't even know if this is true, but it paints the point, no matter what, is that I read that there's over 602 million posts or something being published every minute on the internet right now, across the hundreds of platforms and things that are out there. No matter if that number is true or not, we all get it. There's a lot of information, and people are so cheap dopamine addicted. They're just on these phones, they're scrolling.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you're just out there posting and praying, giving spray and pray type advice, you just got to understand that it's probably not going to work the way that it used to. And so what I find is when I build out campaigns for my more strategic marketing. So if I want to get people to a workshop or a masterclass, or to watch a YouTube video or a podcast, or to a promotion that I might be having, I'm going to build out a sequence of marketing, of posts, whether I'm on Facebook or Instagram. And largely I'm going to combine things like a top of funnel platform like Facebook or Instagram. I'm going to combine like my email list, which is a big hitter for us. And I'm going to combine a couple different components to be able to deliver that campaign so that I can create demand for my stuff. Rather than trying to force people to consume all your content, I like to create demand for it through unique hooks, powerful stories, It's just really, really clear and concise call to actions.
What I love about the advice you're giving right now than a lot of other, gurus giving advice is they tell you what to do, but not why.
Yeah.
And you're not even telling us what to do. You're saying, what do you want to do? What's authentic to you, right? If you're a writer, and I say this as well, like if you're a natural born writer and it's harder for you to be on video, then it's going against what you're authentic, then you're not being yourself.
Yeah.
And this is, I think the friction of getting clients.
You want me to tell a quick example on this too?
Yeah, please do. Please.
So I have 3 different clients, right? Names aren't important right now.
Yeah.
But I have one client. Well,
Call him Bob.
Patty.
Oh, Patty.
Patty's crushing it. What's up, Patty? So Patty loves to write. She's good at video masterclasses, but she loves to write. I've got Carlos. He loves podcasts. He loves networking, loves podcasts, right? And then there's me. I love it all, but I really love I love video. Video's really good.
Yeah.
And so before, Patty was trying to fit herself into exactly what I was doing. Carlos, same. And there was a lot of resistance. There was a lot of let's just say not great successes happening. And then when they started to plug themselves, like Carlos is now doing 1 or 2 podcasts a week, and he's crushing. He is crushing it right now. And Patty is dove into writing. She still does video, but that's her main mechanism. Like she's writing, and she just recently had her biggest month, and she built up a wait list of 30 ladies for her faith-based weight loss program.
Wow.
And I attribute it a lot to like me. It's all me. I'm just kidding. No, but I attribute a lot to them stepping into their zone of genius and truly being able to take these principles and apply it into what they are best suited in.
So, honestly though, like hanging out with you for the last couple of days here at this mastermind in Mexico, I realize how much of you are very much yourself. You do not hide your true self, and what you see online and what I see offline are the same person. And the advice you're sharing, I've heard you share advice at this event, and it's the same advice that you're giving right now, which I love, because we all have seen those people who are giving advice that really isn't their advice, and just someone else's advice kind of packaged it up differently and regurgitating things. And so again, I love that you're giving us stories and examples of people who are all succeeding, and you're giving them the confidence that they just need to lean into their story. And what do you say? Their superpower, right?
Yeah. Your story is your superpower. Like the way I like to look at all of us. If you're watching this, you're likely a creative, an entrepreneur. You're out there doing things. And like, if you ever seen the movie X-Men, there's a Professor Xavier.
Heck yeah.
And he runs the school for mutants, and he has the X-Men that are teaching the mutants how to take their powers and to use them for good. And I look at that to be true for all of us. Like, we're all mutants to a degree. If you're not following the status quo, you're likely a mutant. And your superpower is that story, your experiences, all of them. Your message, if you feel called to put something out into the world, that's your message. And maybe you want the world to see it. Maybe you just want your family to see it. Maybe your church, maybe your community. I don't know, but whatever it is, that story does become your superpower. And when you use that story in more of your content, when you use your client stories like I just did in your content, it makes it more powerful. And when you use your message as that weapon, and I like to think about it as a weapon, like a blade or a sword, because it truly does cut through the noise. When you actually take your true message, which is what we just talked about before, it cuts through, and it becomes like that weapon to essentially influence and help move people towards a better future.
A lot of your strategy is based on content creation, whether it be writing, podcast, video, as you described. Is that right?
Correct.
Is there a piece of content that you see to stand out above the rest? Now, of course, caveat, if you are a skilled writer, that is your number one thing you need to do. If you're skilled at podcasting, number one thing to do. But in your experience, 13 years in the game, is there something that, like, if you only had one thing to do, would it be like video, like short form, long form, podcast? Yeah,
I mean, it's a tough one. Like this, I obviously have bias because I'm thinking about this through my lens. But I would say like any kind of long form content, period. Like if I think back even to my gym days, the highest converting things for me is when I went and spoke. When I did workshops, when I did talks, that was live videos that I did. Those were always my highest converters. If I think back to my online fitness days, I did master classes. Master classes were my highest converters. Even today, I'm doing my highest converters are still master classes. To this day, I've literally been doing master classes at least once a month for like 5-6 years. They're the highest converter for me. But I don't think it's the quote unquote master class. It's more so the principles behind it. And how I learned this is I didn't make this up. This is just what I've learned along the way. Is no matter what, in your long form content, there are basically 4 sales that you want to focus on making. So whether you're writing, whether you're doing a masterclass, a YouTube video, whatever. A podcast, yeah. Is you want to sell people on a new way of thinking. A new belief is a great way to think about it. So it's a super simple example is in fitness, if my audience believed that they needed to just eat healthier or go on diets to lose weight, I would make them believe that they need to eat right, that you need to eat the right amount of calories, proportions, and sustainable foods.
Yeah.
And then I would tell stories or use metaphors or analogies to get people to bridge the gap between the old belief and the new belief. And so you want to sell people on a new way of thinking, a new belief in that. Second thing you want to do is sell people on a new identity. People will move what's the saying, hell and high water or something? Anyways, they will move when you are calling them towards a better future. And so in my business now, a lot of my clients, they want to be seen, they want to be heard. And so I know that people really resonate because I resonated with this, is they want to become sought after. They want to become well respected in their niche. They're not trying to become like super famous or anything crazy. They just want to be respected in their sub niche and have that kind of clout with people and be helping people. And so I call people to becoming in-demand coaches, sought-after coaches. You want to be able to sell the third thing here, which is going to be your unique mechanism or your big ideas, is what they call it in marketing. Back when I was like really studying copywriting, that's like they always frame it as big ideas. And kind of like what we already alluded to, not to to beat a dead horse here. We should never. No horses were harmed.
Yeah.
In the making of this video, but not to be
put in the description.
Yeah, not to be redundant.
Disclaimer.
Here. But the big ideas are just your unique takes, your unique ways of doing things. Quite simply, you want to sell people on that, and you want to sell people on social proof. You want to sell people on social proof. And if you pay attention to what I just did naturally in this video or this episode, I did all of those things. And so when you can like really focus on that, it's going to help you be able to move people forward in that long form content, no matter if you're writing videos or whatever.
So as we're landing this plane, this laying field here, is there any message you want to leave them with? They probably are feeling, like I'm feeling, very inspired, very like, okay, I have all these ideas coming up. Is there anything you want to leave them with before we kind of end this off and then let them know where they can find you, where they can learn more about you?
Yeah, you want me to like sing? I'll leave you with a beautiful song. No. I was at a speaking event in DC like a couple weeks ago, and one of the participants at the speaking event, her daughter was like, "Can you please sing when you get on stage?" So I was like, "Let it go, let it go," and the crowd didn't move, so I stopped. So, I'll do that. But I'll leave you with this: is piggybacking on what I was just talking about with your story is your superpower, your message is your weapon. Right now, people desperately need to hear your message. They do. And if you have this calling inside of you, some call it passion, some call it purpose, some call it the meaning of life. If you have that calling inside of you that you want to put out content, you want to put out information, you want to create, you want to build, like follow it because your message matters now more than it ever has before. I mean, there's people that are eating too much, drinking too much. They're stressed out. They're depressed. They're living life well below their full potential. And you have a message inside of you. And I truly believe that your message is a light. It is a light that can be shown out on that darkness that your ideal clients, that your people, that your community, that they are going through right now. And so I want you to remember that. Never be afraid to be able to speak your authentic message. Never be able to harness your story and to share your stories from a place of power, from a place of confidence, from a place of pure conviction that you got to experience this. You got to live through this. you're here on the other side of your stories so that you can tell them. And when you can truly step into that power, when you could truly own who you are and share that, you are going to find that you will become a freaking trailblazer. Anything and everything that you do will become so much more impactful. So remember this, your message matters. Don't be afraid to speak it. So always be seen, be heard, and be impactful. And where you can find out more about me, I'm on Bumble. No, I'm just kidding. Totally not. I'm sorry.
We can put your info down, your Bumble account down in the description.
You could find me a lot of places. So if you want me to send you, you could shoot me a DM on Facebook or Instagram, like connect with me there, and I could send. I'll give this to you in the description. I'm happy to give you over. I have an entire freaking resource of how to take your messaging and content and all that stuff that I can hand over to you that hopefully just make your life a little easier to implement what I just shared in this episode. So you can start getting all the leads and the clients and whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you can also find me. I have a podcast called The School of Impact. I'm on YouTube under my name. You can search my name anywhere. You can find me.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
We're about to go for a swim right now.
Yeah,
so,
let's dive in. Take off the mics.
That's the ending of the episode.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, brother.